Good morning. Happy Monday.
Best day of the week.
Best day of the week.
How is Boston, Brandy? Are they just reeling right now, or the
Yeah,
riot?
I haven't been outside yet today, but I imagine everyone is feeling pretty somber. I was at a non-Patriots fan Super Bowl viewing party last night. Well, we had one fan, but he was tame. But it was kind of the general consensus in the friend group that the diehard Pats fans would watch together. But I was really gunning for the Seahawks kicker to get MVP because he basically scored all the points in that game. But I guess that's not how it works.
I would say sorry, but I just don't feel any remorse for any of the Patriots fans. You guys have had many years.
I am not a Patriots fan. Do not lump me into this. Although if you're listening from Boston, yes, I am. Yeah, it's fine. I think it wasn't as exciting of a game as I would have liked, but I also don't really care too much. So it seems like the GMH team is not really feeling either way about the game.
Real question though, favorite Super Bowl commercial?
I'll
go first. I'll go first with mine. I'll give you guys a second to think. The Alexa Plus one with Chris Hemsworth, like in all the different ways, like AI is going to kill you. Yeah.
I can honestly say I did not watch a single commercial. There were just lots of kids running around the house, and it was really hard to hear anything except for screaming and excitement and all that from the 6 and unders. So I don't have a comment on that one.
There was the Bosch one with Guy Fieri, and honestly, I just think I love him. He's just such a funny dude. So but I also wasn't really I was cooking a lot during the game. So,
Ever the entertainer, Brandy.
Yeah. I made a miso ginger chuck roast and it was pretty good. But yeah, well, okay. So pretty medium energy around our Super Bowl feelings, but hopefully if you're listening and you felt one way or the other that you're feeling good this morning, not too hungover, hopefully. But starting off today, we have some big money to talk about in a deal that I really struggle to understand. So Kindred, which is a home swapping platform, has raised $125 million. And first, congratulations. We like to see money coming into the space. I don't get it. I don't get the volume, like just the number seems crazy to me for a home swapping platform. There's a quote in here that says our momentum signals that home swapping has become a global movement. And I don't know if we see that in any of the data. So I'd love to get your takes on that.
Yeah. 125 million for what? Like, I want to know the details of that. Are they buying properties and then sharing them with their members? Because that's a lot of money for a home sharing company, especially that's pretty new and pretty early. I feel like this might be one of those wealthy people echo chambers, like, oh, I've got 2 extra houses, I'll throw them on a platform. Oh, this is great. All of my friends are doing it, but not really in touch with reality. But that's my 2 cents. Congrats to the team.
I'm a member on Kindred. I haven't put my home up yet, but I did some digging to see if I could book some upcoming trips through Kindred and see because when I signed up, I got like 5 credits and like what those credits were worth and what it would end up costing. So to their credit, they do have a lot of inventory and growing inventory on the platform. Just about every city that I looked at, and I could find something. What was tough though is a lot of the cities, a lot of the properties only had like a week or 2 that were available. So actually finding and availability in a lot of the properties, and then every other property, it's like, just send them a message and see if they're willing to host you, which isn't really the best experience for wanting to find and book something. And then when you go to book, like let's say you find it, the dates work out, and I think where and the revenue comes from and maybe where they're seeing some growth is essentially the fees are pretty equivalent to like a Airbnb or Vrbo. So there's no money changed hands among the guests and the hosts, but Kindred is still getting their fee associated with the booking. So can they sort of live up to a valuation of needing to
$500 million?
Yeah, what came out of raising 125 million? Like, I have a hard time seeing that, given some of the friction in terms of actually finding bookings and knowing the amount of volume that's going to have to be coming through their platform to book. But as regulation gets more and more prevalent, a lot of markets where you need to have platforms like this because it's sort of a gray area of being able to book off the major platforms. Something that could work in a highly regulated environment, especially in markets like New York, San Francisco, Paris, London, things like that. Maybe they are seeing traction in those areas.
It's just like the people, if you're listing your homes, it's not a money-making ploy, obviously. So it just has to be like when you'd want to go on vacation. To me, it seems like so many variables have to line up exactly for this to work. And they quote here that Business Research Insights pegged the home exchange market at $5.6 billion for 2026. And I don't know. We were talking in the chat earlier last week, just like, what are numbers? Like all of these, just money seems like fake. These are just crazy numbers that are coming around. As someone who was part of a company that tried to raise, Series A, Series B at like much smaller valuations. I mean, it's just, it's really with, a path to profitability. This is like a very interesting, situation.
Yeah, I think, first of all, congrats. It's a huge feat
Yes.
to be able to raise that kind of money. I'm wildly interested. If anyone wants to message me the terms of the deal, there has to be some debt associated with that to raise that much money. And I mean, I'd find it hard to believe it's a $500 million company if they ate 20-ish% dilution. But it's I struggle to see the TAM. I struggle to see the how an investor is going to 10x their investment.
Well, we can, this will also be something we can keep our eyes on. I'm sure in the next year, we'll see how things go one way or another. But yeah, congratulations. It's an impressive feat. And we will, I guess, be proven right or wrong in the next 12 months. Then on to even crazier numbers. We have Airbnb and FIFA. And this is a really long article by The Athletic from the New York Times, very detailed, going into, all of the pricing around the different FIFA cities that are happening in the US. And it was funny. I read through this and I was like, I don't know why this is so long. Like there's an event and now there's surge pricing. And sometimes you get a reservation canceled because you booked when their pricing kind of slipped through the cracks. And I feel like this could have been a couple paragraphs. And that's just because I think we're in this business. And I was like, yeah, but do you guys find anything surprising in an article about one of the biggest games in the world and shocking pricing associated with it?
I do have a comment, but could you pull the image back up? So when you look at this, so Airbnb and short-term rentals provide little relief for stretch World Cup travelers. I think you should probably add an A in there. So Airbnb and short-term rentals provide a little relief for World Cup travelers, because you do see significantly lower rates available for short-term rentals compared to hotels in these markets. A lot of the hotels are going to FIFA, and the prices on the hotel side are getting astronomical. And we've been looking at the short-term rental rates; they are much more reasonable. And you do see people and going for the moon in terms of the rates. Those properties won't get booked. But I definitely think short-term rentals are providing a little relief for travelers wanting to come in. We just did an event in Kansas City on Friday. My colleague Luke presented at it, and it was over 200 people showed up for a hosting crash course in Kansas City. So people are excited about it. We launched this new calculator. So any market or any property in any of these markets will tell you what you'll make during the World Cup, which was a fun bit of data science to actually calculate all those specific nights and what you're going to get booked, what you could earn. There's a lot of excitement in a lot of these markets on hosting, becoming first-time hosts, and that New York Times article, I think, puts a lot of focus on just like there's so many cities, there's so many travelers that are going to be coming in, and there's just going to be a wide variety of stories of people getting canceled on, people hosting for the first time. And we all know, like, that first time that you're hosting, you have no idea what you're doing. There's going to be a lot of rough stories out there, and we all know Tyann with Branson Family Retreats, like she's putting on this hosting crash course. I think we need more of those probably around the country to help people understand what a good versus bad experience looks like.
Yeah, they in Boston, apparently there's groups that are trying to lobby the city to relax the short-term rental restrictions, and I think you're seeing that in some of these cities. Like, we literally don't have anywhere else to put these people. Like, we need to do something.
I remember the Olympics in Atlanta in 1996, and people were taking out ads in the AJC to like let people come and stay in their house. So this was long before Vrbo, Airbnb, Booking.com. People were doing this because there wasn't enough hotel supply. So it's logical that that's still the case. And now we just have a better avenue to market and fill available properties.
There's I was looking for this ADR for a Spring Hill Suites, which is $4,510 a night. And this is outside of MetLife Stadium, which is crazy. That's just like, if I was going to spend $4,500 a night on a hotel, it absolutely must be Amangiri. Like, it's wild that someone is paying that much to stay in a Spring Hill Suites, but that's kind of, I feel like if you have that kind of money, why are you like, I can't compute the willingness to spend that on that hotel.
It is the World Cup.
Yeah. I guess that's also part of the thing. Like, I get it intellectually, but like we were talking kind of before the show, like there's no amount of money I would be willing to spend to go to any of these games, like the chaos around it. But that's just me. And I get that the World Cup is like a different level of fanaticism and people are really willing to travel. So that's great. So unless, I think we'll kind of see, I think the really juicy stories for this are going to happen after this happens, after the World Cup. And we can see, I like the news articles about like crazy hosts, crazy guests, all this stuff. That is going to be really fun to see. That'll keep giving us content throughout the summer.
Yeah. And Brandy, I wanted to ask you this, like one of the big complaints was around a host canceling on their guests. They forgot to raise the price around the World Cup. Do you think, should we be shaming hosts for canceling on a guest, or should that just be expected of like, oh yeah, it's the biggest event in the world, they forgot to change their rates, like it's not too unreasonable expect, like they were renting out for $100 a night, now they can get $1,000 a night. Yeah, should they cancel?
I know. Some people, the unreasonable hospitality crowd is going to come for me, but as an operator that ran with really tight margins, I'd be like, absolutely. Like, I mean, that's not like, is it the right thing to do because you should have had your stuff together and you canceled on this guest? And like, that's not a good guest experience. That's probably not the ethical thing to do. But if you're a one-time host and you're not concerned about this, I would be shocked if someone was like, actually, I'll just forego $900 extra a night when this is like the only reason that I'm doing this. There are realities to events like this that are like a little gross and maybe not like the right moral or ethical thing, but I totally understand why people do it. But this is also like, you should have all the World Cup. We've known it's going to be here for a while. Like, you should have had your pricing dialed in.
What would you do, Michael?
Well, I would keep in mind that this cuts both ways. So if you overpriced and you get a booking, and your cancellation isn't rock solid, they're going to cancel and go somewhere cheaper. So you really need to nail the market. Don't be too high because you risk losing them. Don't be too low because you're going to lose a lot of money. And that's why you need AirDNA to tell you exactly what you need to do to price it.
Shameless plug.
I have no affiliation, but it's a tough one. I feel for the family who wants to bring their kids over and experience the World Cup, and it's their first time, Scotland in a generation of coming. But at the same time, I mean, $4,500 for the Spring Hill Suites makes me want to vomit. Good for them. They're finally catching up on, this K-shape that's been happening, and the mid-tier brands are going to be able to have a pretty good year next year as a result of it, or this year. But yeah, I don't know. I would want the guests to have a great experience and feel like they're paying market rate. How's that?
Yeah, I even in the article, the rate that the guest was said it went from like 3 something to 9 something, but their total stay for like 3 days was still less than one night at the Spring Hill Marriott. So I like, and I think it's because we're in the industry that I'm like, if you see a price that is so dramatically low compared to everything else in the area, book it, because if they don't notice, that's a great steal. But I would just like expect that that's going to get it's not in line, or that the experience is going to be crazy. Like, is that even a real listing? So many alarm bells would go off for me, but that's also because of we're in the industry. So yeah, we'll just have to wait and see. But I believe, Jamie, that you have a data point for the week for us. Is it FIFA related? Is it OTA related? What do we have this week?
It is OTA related. And it is a data point that evolved after we talked last week. So the number is 14.9%.
And that's it.
I'm searching.
Negative 14.9%.
Supply growth on the OTAs.
That would be rough. So it is Booking.com's stock over the past 5 days. So we had Booking.com down roughly 15%. We had Expedia down roughly 13%. Airbnb down 7%. TripAdvisor down 4%. It has been a tough week for the OTAs. And you mentioned it last week, sort of at the end of our call, Michael, the Claude bots, the new agents, and it appears that this is the new fear that's sort of wreaking havoc on the OTAs, is that this next wave of AI agents is just going to start booking direct. And that is going to, so if you had your robot doing everything for you, then it's going to go direct and disintermediate the OTAs. So what do you guys think about this new fear showing up?
I've kind of been talking about it for a long time. I'm not surprised. I think the first mention of it on the show is November or December. So the era of agentic reservations is going to come on us faster than we think. I would guess something like 2 years. So it might be 6 months. But where your agent knows enough about you to pick a place that's better for you than whatever you're going to look for and find on your own. And I think we're getting to a point that can actually be true. When I travel with my family, location, family friendly, does it have a crib that I don't have to bring one with me? Is it got stairs or dangerous items in and around it? The machines probably know more about me than I do, just based on my searching habits on what I look for in a rental property or in a hotel. So yeah, not surprised at all. I guess the market is waking up to the possibilities. Now, to counter that, Jamie always has the balance of the big ones will find a way to box out the the individuals. And I think the great equalizer is going to be the agents. I think they can box each other out on ads on ChatGPT, but I don't know if you tell an agent, I want the best price and the best perks, typically that's going to be booking direct.
Or you can say, I want to book direct. Like if people start becoming savvy that's where they're going to get the best like value, or they just don't want to pay that service fee. But in this booking holdings report, what I love is that one of the first bolded like phrases is AI fears overblown. Um, and also when I saw all these, like, I mean, it just seeing this volatility based off of the speculation of what might happen. I mean, it is just gambling. It is just like gambling in the feels, the vibes that people have. I mean, it's so wild because a couple months ago we saw like gains in their stocks because of all the positive things that they AI is going to do or whatever. So it's just like, I don't know, it's whatever the powers that be are feeling today, because I'm more inclined to think that the OTAs, the big ones that have all this money, are going to figure out a way to claw onto their section of the internet, or they will go down trying, So but I do hold out hope that if you have a good direct booking strategy, or if you build out the native ChatGPT apps and that's how you connect to your site, that you'll actually be able to compete on some level.
So two of the ways that the OTAs can compete is obviously they have the largest amount of search, but that doesn't really stop AI because it can crawl thousands of websites and find something. They're going to have to tighten their contracts to actually have rate parity and to have perks that are on par or better than booking direct. And then, this cycle becomes like, well, why would I even use you anymore? We're not completely in that world yet. We are a long way from complete mass adoption, but I think the agents can eat in. I think my prediction at the beginning of the year is 5 to 10% this year. So let's see.
Yeah. So bring it back to the Super Bowl. Did you guys see the Claude ad that was making fun of the ChatGPT and the ads now showing up in your ChatGPT search? So the premise is like, and you're getting these sort of generic responses that are always super positive of like, of course you can get a 6-pack, but also like, here's this other thing that could help, which is this 1-inch riser in your shoe, which was hilarious. And I loved the ad.
It's like, use my coupon, use my code, blah, 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 to save 10%.
And you can so see that happening with travel, right? Of like, with so many people using the AI to do travel planning, inserting in a booking.com ad or an Expedia ad or into that process, and makes sense. But also, and I fundamentally go back to, how is travel gonna, search and booking gonna change with LLMs? And I don't see the point anytime soon where someone is going to let that booking process happen end to end without reviewing the properties, the photos, the location. So much of travel planning and search happens like, you want options, and yeah, maybe on a business trip, and you don't really care. You're happy with the Spring Hill Suites in New Jersey, because you book it every time. But then ultimately, those travelers are going direct anyway, and you're not using the OTAs, and it's primarily leisure travel that's going through the OTAs anyway, which I think people, and why the OTAs do so well is people want options. They want to view a variety of properties across the different brands. They want to look through the photos. They want to look through the reviews, and feel comfortable with that choice. And as I say that, I'm like, LLMs could probably do a better job. But ultimately, like, are you going to change that behavior? Like, the meta players, Kayak did a great job of that, but ultimately the OTA still gained share even with Kayak and arguably providing a better sort of user option.
Well, actually, to pull up Paul's comment, he says, if travelers feel the agentic experience is easier, faster, painless, the timeline rapidly accelerates, the UX will dictate so much. So yeah, kind of like along that line, if the process looks and feels super smooth and super easy, then the adoption will be better. And if there's friction points, then it'll take longer.
And this is a case-by-case scenario. When you plan a family vacation and you want to know all the little ins and outs and you want to research even what AI is spitting back to you, then that's probably not the use case. But the use case is, hey, I'm going for 2 nights to New Hampshire, find me a place near this spot. And it just does it because like you're traveling by yourself, you don't care. Or you're spontaneous and you want to just let AI dictate what you're going to do, then that's cool. There's definitely going to be those people out there. There's definitely, when I lived in Germany, you could pay €5 on a Wednesday and it would tell you on a Thursday where you're going on a Friday.
Skyscanner.
It was German wings, but you pay $5 and it tells you where you're going 2 days later. You could pay an extra $5 to block out other cities that you've already been to, so you could keep racking it up. But live a little. Let AI dictate where you're going to go on vacation next.
But I can see this in like a business case scenario is if it gets embedded into like Concur or one of the like expense reporting platforms where like you as a business traveler, you like always take this flight, you always book this hotel, you could put in like, oh, I'm doing my weekly trip to Anna Maria Island, like where am I or monthly trip or whatever. And it just repeatedly books your same, trip for you once it sees those things. I can see that happening because it's, you're not really changing things. But could you imagine if you were like, I'm just going to put the dates and the times I want to leave, and then I will find out where we're going the day of on like a family vacation with all your kids.
I mean, Delta already knows all of my preferences. It knows I like to fly out in the mornings. I like to come back in the afternoons. I like an aisle seat as far, up the plane as possible. It knows everything already. So me just having to go through it and pick it out is not necessary.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. This continues to be like this. I feel like this tug of war between like the industry or the OTAs feeling positive or negative about how this is going to go. So in a couple months, I feel like we'll have, at the end of like another quarter, we'll have another take on how this is going. But anything exciting happening for you guys this week? Wow. Donald Trump.
Yeah. Well, traveling up to New Hampshire, we can reveal why in the coming weeks. But
you're coming to me, and it's cold up here, so
it's gonna be cold. Yeah. It's gonna be 70 degrees here in Alabama today, and it's a high of like 22 up there. So
that was better than yesterday when it was 7 degrees. So it's balmy. Beautiful.
Well, I don't know if I have the right clothes, but don't make fun of me.
I'll bring some hand warmers for you.
Thank you.
How about you, Jamie?
Yeah, I'll be in Atlanta this week enjoying the 70-degree weather.
Yeah. I'm like, I voluntarily moved here. I just have to repeat that to myself all the time. Well, thanks to all of our live viewers for tuning in. Paul, Terry, JP, thank you for tuning in and commenting and being so active. We really appreciate it. And we will see all of you guys on the show next week.